Good evening, everyone. My name is Hynisha Malone, and I am the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. And we believe that we are the solution to the issues in our community. Our theme is Nothing With Us, Without Us. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is comprised of young people around our community whose focus and concern is youth leadership and a voice within the community to reduce senseless violence and illegal substance use. Again, everyone, my name is Hynisha Malone, and I'm the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is sponsored by Fathers Who Care, which is a nonprofit organization located on the west side of Chicago within the West Garfield Park community. We invite people from all over, especially young people, to come in and see what we are all about. Our show will be scheduled every Thursday at 7 p.m. Again, that is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Our show can also be viewed online at www.cantv.org/live. Again, that website is www.cantv.org/live. Well, everyone, I would love to introduce my guest for today. This is Tawanna Watts, and she is an entrepreneur. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, Hynisha. Thank you so much, and I'm glad and honored to be here with you, and thank you again for having me out. And my name is Tawanna Watts, and in the community when I'm doing work, I go by Tip.
Tip, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, Tip, for being a guest on tonight's show. Again, everyone, my name is Hynisha Malone, and I'm the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. You are watching a live interactive call-in television program brought to you by CanTV 21. During the next 25 minutes, we are going to discuss educating, engaging, and empowering our youth. We invite our viewers watching to call in with their questions and comments at 312-738-1060. Again, that number is 312-738-1060. Again, our topic for today is educating, engaging, and empowering the youth, and empowering, just empowering our youth, y'all, sorry. So, our phone lines are now open, and now Tawanna will Tip. I have a few questions for you. Tell our audience, who is Tawanna Watts, and what is your purpose for existing?
Cool. Okay, that's a good question. Who is Tawanna Watts? Well, actually, I'm still really getting to know Tawanna Watts for who she is because as a young person or someone outside of Christ, you really don't know who you are.
Right.
And so once you become familiar with Christ, then you start finding your identity in him. And you quickly find out that it is not the same person who you thought you were. And so I would say that the Tawanna that I am learning about is someone that is strong, activist, and one that is for the community.
Yes, I love that. So when did you decide to start your own business, and why?
When did I decide to start my own business? Okay. Well, that's a two-sided answer. So at one point, when I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, my boys, I had two boys at the time. My son BJ was a little busy all the time. And so with that being said, I thought about my upbringing in Chicago, the neighborhoods. I thought about the young men that were lost from the time I graduated 8th grade to the time the school year started, which was only a few months. The summer is only 3 months. And so from graduation to freshman year, quite a few of the boys that I graduated with were killed. So as I thought about my boys and the upbringing, one, I was living in Peoria at the time, and so I didn't want to move back to Chicago to raise my boys. And so this is all when I'm working at the Boys and Girls Club, and I had a thought, and I'm thinking of my son and him being busy and thinking of his talents. And so I thought it was just a thought that I wanted to have my own recreational center for boys. However, at the time, I was very uneducated. I was a high school dropout. I think I probably was working I know I was definitely working a minimum wage job. Which job I was working, I don't know. Probably working 2-3 jobs at the time. So for me, it was a thought. It was a statement that I made. but at the same time, it was something that I didn't see, happening. And so that was early on. However, moving forward, I continue to be an involved parent with anything that my sons were involved in, volunteering at the school, volunteering in the community, doing things of that sort. And so that was always kind of like my makeup part of who I am.
Right.
And so then I started going to church, got involved with the youth at church, and then my son was killed in 2020. So before my son was killed, so this is how the second answer come into that question. My son, before my son was killed in 2020, I was having a conversation with God, and I was just telling him how I could not be the Tawanna that he says that I am. And so I was telling him that I give up, and I was just going to throw in the towel, and I was just going to be the Tawanna that I know of, right? And so 2 weeks later, my son was killed. So I had to go back to the gates and tell God, like, okay, God, I know one thing. I don't know the Tawanna that you calling me to be, but I know the Tawanna that I am cannot survive without you, losing my son. And so from there, I attended the women's conference, I Shine Women's Conference, City Light Church. Check it out. They do have a website, but attended the women's conference. And I wasn't expecting anything to happen because I attended women's conference before, and I never seen anything. Like, I didn't see any change. Like, it made me, I got a little excited while I was there, but then that was it. And so for me, it should be an impact when you attend something like that. Exactly. And so attending the women's conference, I Shine conference, this was in 2021. 2021. So my son was killed 2020. 2021, I attended the I Shine conference. And so that's when I really got in my soul, my spirit, like, okay, God told you last year, start the nonprofit. And so from there, I just got on my feet and toes and started tapping into all the networks. And see, what's funny is God lined things up for you before you even know what's going to happen. Yes. And so already he has set the tone. He has set the atmosphere. I'm very thankful. Shout out to LDC, which is a resource center on the South Side, Bronzeville, which gave me a heck of an opportunity. With them, I was able to develop. I was able to grow. I was able to learn from my mistakes, learn from my errors, and I was able to do it all in grace. And so that's the difference when learning things like that and being able to learn it in grace versus learning those things and people being harsh to you about your errors, about you not knowing, and about you not meeting their expectations. And so God had already started lining things up for me, put me in a network with other youth organizations, other youth ministry, pastors, and things of that sort. And so once my son was killed in the fire was sparked to get back into working with the youth. It just all came together. So all glory go to God.
Okay. I want to just say that I'm sorry about that happening to you, because I understand how you feel and how, like, when things happen like that, you feel like you want to give up. But I'm really glad that you didn't give up, because a lot came out of it. Even though it's very sad, this led you in like a path that was meant for you, and I'm glad that you found God also. So I just want to say that.
Yeah, yes. God is he's amazing in what he do, and so literally getting ready to throw in the towel. Even before my son was killed, like I said, I was with LDC. And so I said they gave me an opportunity. And so I went from being a volunteer.
You were with them before?
With LDC, before my son was killed, I was already working with them. So I started out as, so I originally go to City Light Church. City Light Church started the Life Development Center. And so for me being a active parent in the church, one of the sisters and leaders in the LDC, said, hey, won't you come on over here and volunteer, help us out. Right. And so it went from me, being a active volunteering parent to her offering me to come on to the LDC team and work in the youth department. And literally from being a youth leader to the coordinator to the director. And so God just lined these things up, and it's just amazing. And so as they gave me these roles, again, I'm not one that has a college degree, but I do have some college education. I did eventually go back to school and got my GED and went to college. And so I have some certificates. Thank you so much. Can't give up on your education and dreams. Let me say that. So even if you think you failed now, you know, there's always time for you to get back into it and figure out what God has for you, because He does have something and a purpose for everybody. And so when they gave me these opportunities, I was nervous. I was scared. Right. Mind you, COVID had just started too. Oh, yeah. So it went from being in person to where I was comfortable to now I have to oversee these groups and programs online. I now have to come up with activities to work with youth online, which everybody, that was new to everybody because it was COVID. And so being that I wasn't computer savvy, I was ready to throw in the towel again on this. And so now my son was killed, and that's when I'm like, okay, I can't throw in the towel on the youth, can't throw in the towel on God. Right. And I just been feet on the ground ever since. I'm not going to say that I've done everything perfect. I'm not going to say that I'm an angel or a saint, anything of that nature, because I'm not by far. However, I will tell you that I am a trying person, that I am a fighter. God gave me a spirit of advocating, of fighting, right? He didn't give me a spirit of fear. Sometimes as a human, I tend to get fearful, but I have to tell myself that God didn't give me that spirit. Exactly. And so we have to remember that. And so, that's my take on that.
Thank you. I love that. So what is it that you do exactly as an entrepreneur?
Okay. Well, I do a few things. I am like I said, I'm an activist, so I do advocating in several different ways. So I do advocating for houses. I'm a part of CAFA's tenant board leader, which is they work with tenants within the Chicago Housing Authority that has Section 8 vouchers that tend to run into housing issues, whether that be with the housing department itself or with the landlord or possibly even the city. And so we work to advocate to make a change. So one of the changes that we worked on is the source of income law that has now been put into play. Before this law was put into play, if you have a Section 8 voucher and you're going out and you're looking for housing, I would ask you, what do you have any income? When you already have a voucher that's going to cover your rent. Even if you don't have any income, you have the voucher that's going to cover your rent. And so what they would say is that, you need three times the rent for you to be able to stay in this place, including the voucher. Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
But why though?
And so discrimination. And so that was a way to keep people like with my skin color and other, brown skin color. Yes, minority. It was a way to keep us out. And so being a part of CAFA's tenant board leader, we played a part in getting that bill passed. And so I do things like that. Outside of that, I do community work. I do community organizing, volunteer at events, support other nonprofit agencies when they're having events like for instance, Your Passion First is having a youth competition pitch this Saturday at the Curate Arts Center. Get out there. Doors open at 10 a.m. There's going to be a talent show. There's going to be workshop. There's going to be resources. There's going to be fun, and there's going to be food. And so it'll be a VIP section. You get a chance to meet the artist. Let me get his name right because I don't know all of the young artists, but I want to say his name is. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna have to come back to it.
He a rapper? From the city?
It starts with the co-op.
Corporate?
Corporate.
Oh,
yes,
the
man.
YouTuber.
Yes. He'll be there. So if you're looking for something fun and positive to do, please check us out. We will be there.
Where will it be at again?
At the Curate Art Center over there on Washington and Parkside.
At 10 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am. Doors open at 10 a.m. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so I do things like that, help out in the community, help with bringing, partnering people with resources and things that they need. As well as that, I do, so that's a part of outreach. And on top of that, I founded the nonprofit, which is called Bebe's Ark. And in Bebe's Ark, what we do is we service children who have lost their parent to a catastrophic tragedy. We service children ages 5 to 18. We help create memorabilia for the children.
I talked to you about this.
Yes. And so we create the memorabilia depending on the items that the family have of the loved one that is deceased. And so we do that again for the ages 5 to 18. Ages 5 to 10, we also create a birthday in a box. At first I was going with the pattern of if the kid wanted a special character or hero, that's what we'll do. But my cousin has stepped her game up, and now she designs birthday hats, birthday plates, napkin cups, all of that. And so so for the children that'll get a birthday in a box, it'll be personalized with that parent that they have lost. Outside of that, children ages 11 to 18, we focus on spiritual healing, mental health, and life skills. And so we partnership with other organizations and agencies and connect them to the services that they need. And so
that's amazing.
So yeah, that's what I did.
So what is the hardest part about being an entrepreneur?
Ooh, okay. So I like to give honest answers. I don't like to give
like watered down answers.
Yeah, watered down answers or prepare. This is prepared, but
not too
but
prepared.
Scripted prepared.
Yeah,
That's what I want to say. And so for me, I will speak for me. The hardest thing for me is believing. And that's believing in a few things, right? And so the first thing I start with is believing in myself. That I could, I can't even believe that I'm here right now today based off of Bebe's art. Because a year ago, even a few months ago, I'm having these shaky thoughts like, oh God, is this really what you called me to do? I think maybe, Lord, that I just did this on my own. Maybe I was just, doing this out of, because I was hurt and pain. And so there's them days and moments where I have, self-doubt. So I have to remember God's promise.
Right.
And so God's promise to me is Jeremiah 29:11, and it's the same promise to you if you ever go through any tragedy. And when I say tragedy, I mean tragedy. So to lose a son, when I say to lose a son, I'm not only talking about losing my son. From 2016 to 2023, there has been tragedy after tragedy with the youth in my family. 2016, someone tried to kill my older son. We was in Peoria. Left there, came home 2016. My nephew was killed. 2018, my nephew was killed. 2020, my son was killed. 2021, my sister was killed. May 29th of 2020, my son's funeral was. May 29th of 2021, my sister's funeral was. January the 10th, 2023, we buried my nephew. So when I say tragedy, when I say trauma, God has a promise. And so we have to hold on to this. And it's Jeremiah 29:11. And it says that he has a plan and a hope for you. That he didn't come to harm me. And so with that, I have to, that's what get me back in order. That's what snapped me back into place. And I have to tell myself, it's not reality that I'm focused on. I have to stay focused on God's word and his promise. Right. And so that's the hardest thing. And just having a belief that even if you don't see my vision, it's not for you to see because God didn't give it to you. He gave it to me. Right. And so when people are not seeing my vision, I have to still continue on because God is going to set the path. He's going to make a way for the vision to come back, for it to come to pass. If he has called it, if he has called it, then he's going to do it. There's a verse in the Bible, I want to say it's Isaiah 55:11, and it says something of, now, I ain't no pastor. Let me say that. Okay. That's my disclaimer, okay? Now, what I am is I'm a seed sower. He did send me to share the word. That's what I do. Share the word and share my faith. That's what he has called me to do. And so in that verse, it says that if he gives a word and he sends it out, that word does not come back void. That word does not come back empty-handed. It goes out and it do exactly what God said that God sent it out to do. And so I have to tell myself that I have to remember that it's not about what I see. It's about what God has ordered. And so, yeah. So if anybody's having struggling, having hard times with believing, you just don't believe what you think. Remember what God's word and his promise said.
Yes, I think that's amazing advice because I feel like when people, I want to applaud you for being so strong, one, because of all that you went through. And there's a lot of people who they go through so much that they just like give up. But it's like, I feel like when you, like what you said with faith, you have to have that faith, because that's the only thing that's gonna keep a lot of us going. Like, I had, like, my dad passed away in 2021, and I had to like, at first it was hard for me, but then I started to like try to see like, oh, like, let me see like the good side of it and stuff like that. So then that's when I'll be like, okay, well, like, maybe this, no, I can't keep talking about it, sorry. Okay, yeah, thank you. So what does violence prevention mean to you?
Violence prevention means to me, violence prevention means to me, not letting the drama or the nonsense or even my son's death. What I'm doing is violence prevention. Instead of me getting angry and trying to retaliate, instead of me getting angry and throwing in the towel, because again, I'm not a saint. I don't walk around like I'm a Bible thumper, right? So I have my moments, I have my days. And so however, outside of those, I hold fast to, again, I keep going back to God.
Yeah.
I keep going back to God. And so what I'm doing and what you see, Father Who Cares, and what you see Your Passion First, and what you see BBF doing, and what you see Elevation Service, and what you see a lot of these nonprofits, LDC, the 15th District, Together Chicago, Hands Across, what is it called? Oh my goodness, I'm going too fast. Let me slow down.
It's okay.
Praying Hands on the Corner, Love Your School Day, all of these initiatives that you hear around Chicago, the people that you're inviting to these shows and sitting down, that's what I call violence prevention, the work that we're doing. And what makes the difference is that when you're out here in the field and you're really doing the work, because you can sit behind the desk all day and send out the money for the program, but what impact are you making?
Right.
And so for me, if the work that I'm doing is not leaving an impact, then I'm not doing violence violence prevention.
Exactly.
Right? I'm providing some sort of a small Band-Aid. And so our society needs more than a Band-Aid. We need healing.
Right.
Yeah.
So if anyone would like to get in contact with you to get more information about becoming an entrepreneur, how could they contact you?
Okay, I don't have a website, but you can reach me on Facebook. I do have Facebook. It is called Bebe's Arc. There's also Instagram, which is Bebe's Arc 2223. I do have an email, which is BAYBAYSARK2223@gmail.com. You can always reach me there.
Thank you. So if you are just tuning in, our guest tonight on the show is Tawanna Watts, and we were discussing educating, engaging, and empowering our youth. We would love to thank our viewers for watching. For additional information about our youth council, please contact us at 773-287-5821. Again, that number is 773-287-5821, and ask for Miss Princess. Thank you, and tune in next week, same time, same station. And if there are any last remarks that you want to give before we head out?
I just want to commend you all for the work that you all doing too. And so the youth, you all doing the work and taking the initiative at an early age. I wish that when I was your age that I would have gotten involved. Now, I was aware of politics. I was aware of law and things like that. That always interests me. But like really getting in tune, being involved, making a difference, being an advocate at a young age. Right. You guys are making such an impact. And not only that, but you all have to be the voice for the change that needs to happen. Exactly. And so one thing that I do want to say that I want to leave you with, and then also the youth out here, is that voting means everything.
Yes.
When you don't, it's just like if the judge summons you to court. If you don't go to court, then they tell you that the judgment will be entered by default against you, meaning that whatever that they're saying on this paper, if it's saying that you owe money, if it's saying that you go to jail, whatever it is that they're saying is gonna happen if you don't show up and say anything. So by default, and so it's the same thing when it comes to voting. When you don't vote, your vote does count. It's just counted as a default. So whatever you discussing with me that you don't want to happen when you don't go out and vote, guess what, Hynisha, is going over here on this side. So it's very important for the youth to get out here and vote. I don't know if y'all paying attention to what's going on in the society, but it is the things that are taking place now. They're going to affect you and your children more than they're going to affect me right now. Exactly. And so they're going to affect my children and their grandchildren. So you all have to vote, because if you don't get out there and vote and start voting at the age of 18, they're going to take that away from us. And so that's what I really want to leave. That's the strongest thing that I want to leave with the youth, and that's the thing that I want to again commend you all on, is because being a part of this, I know that you all at the age of 18, I'm expecting to see you all not only at the polls voting, but being out there doing the work as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. Also, and I feel like us as youth need to let other youth know that, because I feel like when they hear it from older people, they just like, okay, they just talking about voting and politics and they don't want to hear it. But when other youth come and tell them, I feel like they'll actually listen, because it's like we all in the same boat. Like we all young too, but it's like we both acknowledging the importance of our future and how we the next generation and how the people that we have in place will represent us, and we will have to represent them at some point in time by the things that we do in the community and stuff like that. So we just have to know who we put in office and stuff. So I just feel like, sorry for saying stuff, but yeah, and I just feel like that's why I feel like I do this, because I want to be able to tell people like it's not uncool to volunteer, or it's not uncool to like actually have a say and voice your opinions on stuff that's going on the community, because you being silent won't do nothing but keep the same cycle going, and it'll never be like no change and stuff like that.
Yes. And another thing when it comes to voting, what needs to happen is like you say, the youth, they're listening to someone. So what is happening in our community, we are already, as you're coming up, unconsciously, we're telling you to not go out and vote, because you're sitting around here in the conversation that I'm having with your auntie and your uncle, and we talking about how our votes don't count, so what we going out and vote for. So now when your history teacher come to you and you at junior year and telling you, Hynisha, next year you're going to be able to vote, are you going out and vote? You look at Mr. Jones, you be like, for what? My vote don't even count. I ain't going out and vote. So what needs to happen is that the adults in the household needs to stop telling the youth that they vote don't count, because your vote does count. Just like your voice means something. Your voice is not small. Your voice is actually louder than my voice. Your voice is being seen more than my voice is being seen. And so that's what I want to say. And then I also like the fact that you pointed out volunteering. Yes, don't be afraid to volunteer. I'm sitting right here in this role that I am now fulfilling because of volunteering. Again, I started out just as a volunteering parent, and so over the years, being a part of the PAC, running for the LSC seat within my school, my children's school, volunteering at the Salvation Army with LDC. I volunteered with them for years, and that's what gave me again one of the biggest blessings in my life, and where I'm at, and also where I'm headed. And so yes, volunteering is a blessing. And so I'm glad that you said something on that.
Yeah, so thank you again for being a guest on tonight's show, and we will see you all next week, same time, same station.
Thank you.